Mysterious zombie virus outbreak on campus. The infected surged towards the survivors like a tide, and the question remained, how could they escape? This story unfolds in a high school called Hyosan in South Korea on a regular rainy night. But what happens on the school rooftop is far from ordinary. Jin-soo is being bullied by his classmates, evident from the scars on his wrists that bear witness to the pain he endures. He has considered transferring to end this hellish life, but the bullies won't allow it. At that moment, Jin-soo, who was being stepped on the ground, suddenly had blue veins popping on his face. He pushed away his classmate and stood up. Fueled by desperation, Jin-soo fought back and charged at his tormentor, only to be dodged and pushed off the rooftop. The classmates on the rooftop watched the fallen Jin-soo with indifference. He was soon rushed to the hospital, and the doctors were trying to reach his father, Byung-chan. Frantically, sneaking into the hospital room, Byung-chan appeared oddly composed as he saw his heavily injured son lying on the bed. He tried to comfort Jin-soo, telling him that things would get better, but these words pierced Jin-soo's heart deeply. Then Jin-soo plans to go out and fight the bullies. Byung-chan held his son down and told him not to do anything stupid, but not long after, Jin-soo's body began to change, prompting Byung-chan to grab a Bible and strike him in an attempt to prevent Jin-soo from harming others. After Jin-soo doesn't move a muscle, Byung-chan sneaks him into a box, intending to take him away before figuring out what to do next. Byung-chan fell down on the way and Jin-soo's arm was exposed in the suitcase. He tried to put his arm back in the suitcase but was grabbed by a hand. No doubt Jin-soo came back. The next day, Hyosan High School seemed peaceful as usual. Students practiced archery, sang songs, and Hyun-ju, a female student, woke up in the science classroom, curious about the noises from the laboratory. She stumbled upon a cute little white mouse in a box. When she reached out to touch it, the mouse bit her. Feeling ominous, Hyun-ju attempted to leave but was blocked by Byung-chan, the school's science teacher. He noticed the bite on her hand and pulled her back into the laboratory. There have been some bad rumors at school in the last few days. The science teacher didn't come to class for a few days because his son had disappeared. And when he came back, he smelled bad, like a rotting corpse.
냄새는 다 아는데 그 냄새만 모르는 거야. 한 번도 안 맡아본 냄새니까 그게 시체 썩는 냄새지.
And he became very strange. Sometimes he suddenly ran out of the room in the middle of a lesson. This has never happened before. During the night, security guards patrolled the school. Unaware that Hyun-ju was trapped in the laboratory. The next day, when English teacher Sunwon noticed Hyun-ju's absence, she inquired if anyone had seen her recently. A classmate mentioned seeing her last in the science classroom. After class, Sunwon went to the science classroom, where she found Byung-chan coming out of the laboratory. She asked him if he had seen Hyun-ju, to which he casually replied that he hadn't. Suddenly, there was a noise from the laboratory, and Byung-chan hastily explained that it was just the sound of experimental white mice. After Sunwon leaves, Byung-chan returns to the lab, where Hyun-ju is still being held captive, and she's not in the best of shape. However, her condition was deteriorating, as the medication he had administered could only delay the infection but not cure it. Hyun-ju kept crying out for help, though her voice was weak, expressing her strong desire to survive. But Byung-chan showed no emotion as he coldly told Hyun-ju not to cling to hope for life. Shortly afterward, Byung-chan went to attend his class. In the laboratory, Hyun-ju's mutation worsened, and she managed to break free from her restraints. In a disoriented state, she stumbled back into the classroom, terrifying her classmates with her appearance. Sunwon embraced Hyun-ju and asked her what happened. Hyun-ju weakly revealed that Byung-chan had imprisoned her in the laboratory. Soo-hyuk immediately carried Hyun-ju to the school clinic, and classmates An-jo and Isaac rushed to help. the school doctor took Hyunju's temperature and found it was only 29.7 degrees, so he called an ambulance, but strangely, Hyunju keeps complaining that she feels hot even though her body temperature is low. She even starts biting around and Anjo accidentally gets hurt, but at this point, Hyunju hasn't completely lost her mind. She remembers that Byeon-chan gave her an injection. Isaac returned to the classroom, where everyone was curious about the situation. She didn't hide anything and explained the conditions at the school clinic, mentioning that both Hyunju and Byeon-chan emitted a foul smell. Upon hearing that Anjo was injured, Chongsan immediately rushed to the school clinic, only to find it empty. Hyunju had already been taken away in an ambulance. Anjo's father, who was an ambulance worker, treated Anjo's wound and advised her to be safe before leaving for the hospital. Sunhwa told Anjo and Soo-hyuk not to disclose Hyunju's situation for the time being. On their way back to the classroom, Anjo suddenly confessed his feelings to Soo-hyuk, but Soo-hyuk politely rejected her. Soo-hyuk knew that Chongsan had feelings for Anjo, as they were close friends. Chongsan arrived, and Anjo, feeling dejected, left. Chongsan asked Soo-hyuk about Anjo's injury, and Soo-hyuk reassured him that it wasn't serious. Hyunju didn't bite Anjo. She got injured while trying to evade the attack. Meanwhile, Byeon-chan returned to the laboratory and discovered that Hyunju was missing. Sunhwa then arrived at the lab and said Hyunju had been taken to the hospital. This news alarmed Byeon-chan, and he urgently urged them not to take Hyunju to the hospital. He stressed the importance of isolating her immediately to prevent a major disaster, but nobody believed him. Byeon-chan was taken to the principal's office, but the principal also refused to listen to his explanations. Sunhwa had already called the police. As Byeon-chan was about to leave, the police arrived. The officer, Chae-ik, was familiar with him. Meanwhile, the school nurse returned to her office, preparing to clean up, when suddenly her arms started hurting. She had been bitten by Hyunju while administering the injection. The virus spread rapidly, and her eyes turned red. The nurse's body temperature dropped to 31.5 degrees Celsius, and her nose started bleeding. At that moment, the bell rang for the end of class, and students went to the cafeteria for lunch. However, the nurse, now infected, was lying on the floor, convulsing. Two students noticed her strange behavior and started filming her with their phones. In the next second, the infected nurse turned like a rabid dog and rushed towards them. The male student was taken aback but felt more amused, and it wasn't until the school nurse bit one of them that he realized it wasn't a joke. The bitten student quickly mutated and attacked others in another classroom. Simultaneously, the rooftop witnessed a different scene. Eun-ji was humiliated after GWI-nam bullied her and took inappropriate videos. Feeling utterly hopeless, she contemplated suicide. At this critical moment, a male student tried to persuade Eun-ji, promising to make GWI-nam delete the videos. Although she sensed the boy's affection for her, Eun-ji couldn't stand being with someone associated with GWI-nam's bullying. She requested the boy to stay away from her even after her death, hoping not to meet him again in her next life. Just as Eun-ji turned to jump, someone else jumped ahead of her. They were stunned by the scene before them. The spread of the zombie-like plague rapidly engulfed the entire campus, and almost no one survived the places it reached. Sunhwa is about to go up to his classmate to reprimand him, and frightened by the student's appearance, Sunhwa rushes to run away desperately. The disaster came too quickly, leaving no time for preparation. In a flash, the canteen was in complete chaos. Chongsan managed to protect Anjo, and they narrowly escaped through a window. However, outside was no better. With zombies all around, running would only lead to a quicker death, so the wisest decision was to hide. Chongsan, Anjo, and their classmates returned to the classroom, where a few other students had sought refuge. Immediately after Daesu came to take refuge, Soo-hyuk and Namare also climbed in through the window. Byung-chan is responsible for how things have turned out. Byung-chan has a PhD in cytology. After returning from his studies, he worked as a researcher at a pharmaceutical company, and then quit to become a high school science teacher instead of a professor at a university. Byung-chan had been conducting a secret experiment, where he placed cats and mice in the same cage. While most mice cowered in the corner, some would lose their sanity due to extreme fear and ultimately rebel in anger. This led to a significant increase in ketone secretion. Byung-chan extracted these hormones, hoping to save mice suffering from trembling due to fear. His own son became his first experimental subject. Unfortunately, things didn't go as planned, and his son turned into a monstrous creature, attacking even his mother. Simultaneously, Hyun-ju, who had been taken to the hospital for examination, suddenly regained consciousness, her body folding in a bizarre way. Hyun-ju began biting anyone she saw, and the virus quickly spread through the hospital. Meanwhile, the archery team returned from a competition, only to be shocked by the scene on campus. The students hiding in the classroom found a cell phone but couldn't unlock it without the password. The phone's owner was outside, and Chon-san tried facial recognition to unlock it. To no avail. Anjo tells Chon-san to call the police directly, and to make an emergency call without unlocking the phone soon. The call went through, but when the officer on the other end heard about zombies roaming on campus, they immediately dismissed Chon-san as crazy. Soon after, the hospital also called to report zombie sightings, and only then did the police start taking it seriously. Subsequently, one call after another reported zombies at various locations. Afraid that the police might consider Chon-san's report a prank, Anjo made another call, claiming that there was a fire at the school. However, after waiting for some time, no police officers appeared, and even the emergency line couldn't be reached. The students' mentality gradually collapsed. At that moment, a teacher rushed in and instructed everyone to barricade the door with tables. Isaac realized that the teacher had been bitten, and tensions rose. The teacher quickly explained that it wasn't a bite, but it was a bite mark. Bravely, Isaac stood up and urged the teacher to leave the classroom. As soon as Isaac said that, the teacher's nose started to bleed, and he fell to the floor and started to convulse. A few moments later, the teacher bites a female student. Everyone quickly joined forces to deal with the teacher. However, at this moment, the bitten female classmate also started to mutate. The classroom was no longer safe, and they had to relocate. The male students led the way, while the female students watched from behind. They used door panels to fend off the zombies as they slowly moved forward. The entire teaching building was filled with zombies, leaving them with nowhere to run. Soo-hyuk stayed behind to hold them off. The rest of the group was blocked at the entrance to the science classroom. They smashed the lock and took temporary shelter inside. Unfortunately, Anjo accidentally dropped the only phone outside, and it was impossible to retrieve it now. Just as they sighed with relief, zombies started climbing in through the windows. The group quickly stacked tables to block them. The immediate crisis was averted. Anjo suddenly noticed that Soo-hyuk was missing. Everyone was so focused on escaping that they hadn't noticed Soo-hyuk. They weren't the only ones who survived. The two students on the rooftop didn't know whether to be happy or sad when they looked at the zombies below them. In the cafeteria, a few survivors were in a dangerous situation. The zombies were right beside them, and the female student was crying in fear. The school bully, GWI heartlessly kicked her out, leaving her to become the zombies' prey. In the girls' restroom, there were 3 survivors: the straightforward Mi Jin, the cowardly Junsong, the unwell Halim, whom Mi Jin discovered had a wound on her shoulder, so she locked her up. As long as she didn't mutate, they were still friends, but if they mutated, they would become enemies. Mi Jin's actions angered Halim. Halim threatened that the first person she would kill after turning into a zombie would be Mi Jin. As time passed, Halim began to mutate uncontrollably. Mi Jin prepared for a fight and impaled Halim's head with a stick. At the deadlock, an arrow shot towards Halim, ending the battle. The archer was Hari from the archery team. Then, Sunwa's voice came through the broadcast, warning that some students had lost their sanity and become extremely aggressive. She advised everyone to hide and wait for rescue. After the broadcast, the campus briefly fell into silence. Isaac was chatting with Anjo when Anjo suddenly noticed that Isaac's hands were cold, and her nose was bleeding. Isaac had been bitten while fighting the zombies. Although she denied it, her increasingly red eyes revealed the truth. Anjo hugs Isaac reluctantly. Changsen quickly pulled Anjo away. Within seconds, Isaac turned into a zombie. Changsen stood up to protect Anjo, not wanting to harm Isaac, but she was no longer the same person. Isaac crazily charged towards Anjo. Changsen immediately pushed Isaac away, and she clung to the windowsill with one hand. Anjo rushes forward and pulls Isaac in, reminiscing about their time together. She couldn't bear to let go. Na-yun kicked a chair, and Changsen picked it up and smashed it at Isaac. Anjo can only watch with tears in her eyes as her former friend leaves her. Changsen tried to console Anjo but couldn't find the right words. After a brief moment of calm, Changsen made a decision to escape from there. He felt that staying put was not a solution, and waiting for rescue was unreliable. To survive, they had to rely on themselves. Changsen got a fire hose from outside the door and prepared to go down from the window to assess the situation. Changsen wanted to take the lead, but when he saw Anjo, he hesitated and asked Jiangsu to go down first. Jiangsu made his way to the second floor and met Sunwa. One by one, everyone descended and reunited with Sunwa. In the classroom, only Anjo and Changsen remained. Anjo was still immersed in grief, as the people she liked were dying one by one. Changsen urged Anjo to pull herself together, emphasizing that nothing was more important than staying alive. Time was running out, as zombies were about to break in from outside. Meanwhile, Suhayak was facing a serious challenge. Several zombies were nearby, and continuing to hide was not a viable option. He would eventually be discovered. At this critical moment, Suhayak escaped from the window and temporarily evaded danger. However, Changsen's situation was not ideal. Anjo had not yet reached the second floor, and the zombies were quickly closing in. Just as Anjo reached the second floor, the zombies stormed in. Changsen had no time to go down and was instantly tackled by a zombie, but the fire hose saved his life. Upstairs, Suhayak witnessed the situation but was unable to help Changsen. Suddenly a zombie appeared on Suhayak's head. The relentless zombie lunged at Suhayak. Suhayak had no choice but to leap, grabbing the fire hose and hanging in midair with Changsen. They carefully descended together and finally joined the rest on the second floor. However, before the others entered the room, Na-yun yelled to close the window. Jiangsu couldn't stand Na-yun's attitude and argued with her, leading to an argument between them. Na-yun's words were extremely harsh, and Jiangsu couldn't hold back and accidentally pushed her down. Sunwa hurriedly intervened, asking them to apologize to each other. In anger, Sunwa scolded them, reminding them that they didn't even have time to deal with zombies. Yet they were wasting time arguing. As everyone opened the computer to check the news outside, they were all focused on the screen when suddenly the window glass shattered from the impact of the fire hose. Chong-san went to check, and to their surprise, a zombie dropped down from above.
야, 들어온다.
Chong-san immediately grabbed a mop, trying to push the zombie off, but it seemed impossible. Jian-su tried to pry the zombie's fingers open but couldn't make it fall. An enraged Soo-hyuk picks up a stick and accidentally hits Jian-su in the nose before plunging the stick into the zombie's body. However, the zombie kept trying to climb back up. In desperation, Jian-su picked up the computer's CPU and smashed the zombie down, just as they managed to push the zombie out of the broadcasting room together. In the city center, a large group of zombies were crazily charging forward, and opposite them was a fully armed police force. Wherever the zombies went, they bit people. At this moment, an electric scooter drove up, and the police tried to stop it. This person is none other than Chong-san's mother, and her destination is the school. Everyone finally breathed a sigh of relief, but the computer was no longer usable. Then, Jian-su's nose started bleeding, and everyone nervously looked at him. Jian-su wasn't concerned because he knew it was caused by Soo-hyuk's stick earlier. However, Na-yeon looked at Jian-su in terror, insisting that he had been bitten. After they had reconciled, their conflicts erupted again. The most important thing was that several other students also didn't trust Jian-su. At this moment, Na-yeon noticed a wound on Jian-su's hand back. This made it even harder for Jian-su to explain, and he felt deeply wronged. He rushed up there to save everyone, and now he's targeting him instead of thanking him. Chong-san went forward to inspect Jian-su's wound and found it was just a scrape, not a bite. Everyone came forward to confirm Jian-su's wound, and indeed, it was a scrape. With confirmation, they all believed that Na-yeon needed to apologize to Jian-su. However, Na-yeon, being stubborn, refused to apologize and instead accused that she saw a zombie scratch Jian-su's hand, so he must have been infected. Even though most people believed Jian-su was not infected, to dispel any doubts, the teacher suggested Jian-su stay in the recording studio for 10 minutes, which was the best solution at the moment. But Jian-su had his pride and angrily declared that if he had to stay, he would stay for an hour. While the teacher's approach was sensible, it hurt those who had rushed ahead. The actions of Sunhwa caused a rift among the group. Jian-su voluntarily entered the recording studio. They have a short break. After half an hour, Na-yeon went in to apologize to Jian-su under the teacher's advice. However, Na-yeon, deep down, looked down on Jian-su, and instead of apologizing, she humiliated him further. Their conflict escalated once again. As everyone was criticizing Na-yeon, suddenly Jian-su began to bleed from his nose. Everyone was scared and urged Jian-su to leave immediately. Seeing the emotional state of the group, the teacher had no choice but to ask Jian-su to leave. This deeply hurt Jian-su. Feeling disappointed, Jian-su walked towards the door. Just as he was about to open it, the virus inside him erupted completely. After mutating, Jian-su started attacking everyone. Chong-san stood at the window and whistled to get Jian-su's attention. When Jian-su pounced, Chong-san swiftly dodged, causing Jian-su to fall heavily. Chong-san watched Jian-su drift away with tears in his eyes. The atmosphere in the broadcasting room dropped to freezing point. At this moment, Na-mare, who had been silent, suddenly spoke up. She suspected that Na-yeon was involved in this. Na-mare had noticed that when Na-yeon went in to apologize to Jian-su, she wiped the stick with zombie blood using a handkerchief. Then, Na-yeon used the same handkerchief with zombie blood to wipe Jian-su's wound, leading to his infection. Exposed, Na-yeon was immediately driven out of the broadcasting room. They all know that once she walks out that door, she might die. Although Na-yeon had made a mistake, Sunhwa couldn't bear to see her die outside and decided to go look for Na-yeon. Outside, Na-yeon felt hopeless as she walked in the corridor, soon attracting a large group of zombies. Just as the zombies were about to pounce on Na-yeon, Sunhwa appeared and saved her. In the radio room, as Chongsan stood at the window looking for Jae-su's figure, someone carefully avoided the zombies and arrived at the school playground. This person was none other than Chongsan's mother, who was worried about his safety and came to find him. She saw Jae-su, Chongsan's good friend, and approached to ask about Chongsan's whereabouts, but instead of answering her, Chongsan opened his mouth wide and viciously bit her. If the Chongsan at the window knew about this, he would probably personally kill Na-yeon. In another corner of the school, GWI-nam escaped from the cafeteria, but the other areas of the school were not safe either. In desperation, GWI-nam hid in the principal's office, but there were also several zombies inside. At a critical moment, GWI-nam had no choice but to fight them off. On the other hand, at the police station, Jae-ik finally understood the severity of the situation and questioned Bayan-chan about why he didn't speak up earlier. Bayan-chan smiled and explained that he had been speaking up from the beginning, but no one believed him. Bayan-chan revealed the cause of the incident, which started with his son. His son had been suffering from bullying for a long time, and Bayan-chan hadn't taken the problem seriously. It wasn't until his son attempted suicide that Bayan-chan realized how serious the issue was. Bayan-chan wanted to help his son resolve the issue, but the school's higher-ups were just like him in the beginning, not caring about the problem at all. Seeing the bullying worsen, and his son attempting suicide multiple times, Bayan-chan knew he couldn't change others, so he tried to change his son instead, but he never wanted things to develop to this extent. Jae-ik wants Bayan-chan to hand over the healing potion and stop making things worse, but Bayan-chan doesn't have the cure at all. At this time, the government had ordered the evacuation of the entire city. Just as Jae-ik prepared to take Bayan-chan away, they discovered that the place was already surrounded by zombies. Seeing the zombies madly tearing at others, Bayan-chan smiled. When there were only his son and wife as zombies, Bayan-chan had considered that this might be the closest existence to human nature. He thought it might be better to accept and coexist with them rather than trying to treat them. Bayan-chan had always believed that his idea was right, but the scene before his eyes made him realize that coexistence was just a joke. These people had become complete and utter demons. Without hesitation, Bayan-chan stepped forward to help fend off the zombies but accidentally got bitten. Jae-ik prepared to take Bayan-chan away, but he insisted on staying behind. Bayan-chan informed Jae-ik that his laptop was in the laboratory, and it contained the solution to this problem, the only solution. He blocked the swarming zombies, providing Jae-ik with a chance to escape. Bayan-chan blocked the swarming zombies, providing Jae-ik with a chance to escape. Jae-ik didn't hesitate and immediately left the place. Meanwhile, Bayan-chan had also turned into a member of the zombie horde. In the school radio room, the sun had just risen and Chongsan looked anxiously out of the window, but there was no sign of the rescue team coming. Meanwhile, the people in the female restroom decided to relocate to the second floor because Hari's brother was there. In the broadcast room, the group didn't make any rash moves as they had too little information. They understood that they needed to grasp the situation outside before deciding their next course of action. On the rooftop, Eun-ji was having an argument with Chul-soo. Chul-soo forgot to mention something yesterday. GWI-nam had set Eun-ji's video to be published at a scheduled time, and if she didn't give him the money on time, he would release the video online at 9 o'clock this morning. Eun-ji deeply regretted not dying yesterday because now her death would be meaningless, and the video would still be released. The only way to salvage her last shred of dignity was to find GWI-nam's phone before 9 a.m. Eun-ji went downstairs to find GWI-nam's phone, but Chul-soo, fearing for his life, stayed on the rooftop. In the school's broadcasting room, Chongsan and Soo-hyuk are about to go to the faculty office to look for their mobile phones, so they can only know what's going on outside if they get their phones. Eun-ji, who had just come down from the rooftop, appeared in front of the school's faculty office. The result is... Outside the principal's office, the principal woke up GW Inam and gave him the car keys to bring the car. GW Inam refused to go and was very arrogant. The headmaster was about to teach GW Inam a lesson, but GW Inam taught him a lesson in return. Anjo's father, Soju, and the congressman were together on the other side, and they had already contacted headquarters for a helicopter to pick them up. They were in the corridor, preparing to block the zombies and buy time for the congressman. However, the door leading to the rooftop was locked, leaving them no choice but to send their team members to open it. Soju bravely held off the zombies alone, until the door was finally opened and the congressman was able to make it to the rooftop. At the school, Chongsan is running away from the zombies. And in a panic, Chongsan breaks into the headmaster's office, only to be shocked by the scene in front of him. The headmaster is kidnapped by GW Inam. Chongsan takes out his mobile phone to film the incident and advises GW Inam to be more peaceful, but GW Inam doesn't care and kills the headmaster in front of Chongsan. Chongsan didn't expect GW Inam to be so cruel. GW Inam came to Chongsan and asked him to hand over his mobile phone. Chongsan refused and ran away. GW Inam chased after him and threw the knife at Chongsan. With a poof, Aoyama was stabbed in the back. Meanwhile, Hari fought against the zombies in the hallway, searching for his younger brother. While all this happened, the broadcast room remained peaceful. They saw a helicopter flying by, but it didn't come to rescue them. They realized they could only rely on themselves to face the severe challenge. Soju's side finally waited for the helicopter, and the city below was in ruins, making everyone feel heavy-hearted. The government took the situation seriously and issued 2 orders: to contain the virus in Shaoshan City and to rescue the uninfected population. On the school side, Su Hyok returns to the broadcasting room alone. He's very sorry for not bringing Chongsan back. Meanwhile, Chongsan was desperately trying to escape, being chased not only by zombies but also by the terrifying GW Inam. GW Inam threw his knife at Chongsan, but fortunately, it hit the handle, not the blade. Chongsan escaped to the library. There are survivors here. However, his attempt to climb the bookshelf resulted in him being pushed to the ground by another student. The next moment, he got what he deserved. The student on the bookshelf was instantly drowned in the zombie horde. GW Inam finally captured Chongsan, intending to kill him. In the nick of time, Chongsan smashes GW Inam with his mobile phone, instantly destroying one of GW Inam's eyes, and then pushes GW Inam into the zombie horde. Chongsan looked at GW Inam. GW Inam repeats the phrase "I'm going to kill you" and is drowned by the zombies. Chongsan continues to run for his life. The bookshelf is pushed over by the zombies and floods Chongsan, but the zombies soon find him. Chongsan continued to flee and managed to escape the library, only to find that there were still many zombies outside. Fortunately, Hari appeared just in time to help Chongsan by eliminating a zombie, but Chongsan was unaware that he had received assistance. Hari and the others didn't realize there was another survivor. The four of them reached the school clinic, where they found a computer. Meanwhile, Chongsan, having escaped from the zombies, quickly checked his phone, hoping to call for help. However, to his surprise, the government had cut off all communication and internet in Shaoshan City to prevent panic among the population. Chongsan's phone cannot get through, and Hari's network is also not connecting. Mi Jin also tried the landline but couldn't get a connection. Anzhou was not going to sit around and try to find a drone up there. Jun Yang is an expert in this field. So after discussing the plan, Jun Yang and Anzhou set off together. In the city, Shaik and his men were wandering around, aiming to get Bayan Chan's computer, which contained the solution to the crisis. But there's still a long way to go to Shaoshan High School, so I'm sure I can't do it on two legs. They decided to find a car, but they ended up taking refuge in Chongsan's family's fried chicken shop, where they encountered another zombie Chongsan's classmate. Before Hyenju escapes from the lab, Hisu goes to the school nurse for help because she's about to give birth. However, when she arrived, she saw Hyenju being taken into the clinic. Hisu silently left the school and found a place to give birth to the baby. Later, Hisu was infected by a zombie, so she left the baby here and ties herself to the door. Shaik and his men didn't know about Hisu's situation and were shocked to see the baby. Luckily, the baby is still alive. In the lab, Junyang and Anzhou were busy assembling the drone and didn't notice the little white mouse at their feet. Little did they know that the solution to the disaster lay in that room. They packed up their equipment and returned to the radio room. Junyang quickly assembled the drone, and they agreed to find Chongsan first before seeking help outside. The quartet over at the school nurse's office rested for a while and decided to go to the training ground, as Hari was running low on arrows and had to replenish them. After discussing their strategy, they jumped from the second floor directly to the ground. Just as the drone arrived, the drone and the group passed each other by. Junyang continued controlling the drone to search for Chongsan and soon found him in the music room. Unfortunately, the drone lacked voice communication to contact Chongsan. Now that they had located Chongsan, they wanted to check the situation outside. As the drone reached the school gate, a female student burst into tears as her father's car was parked there, and her parents had already turned into zombies. A sense of grief spread throughout the broadcast room. At that moment, the drone got hit by zombies and crashed. On the other side, Soju and the congressman reached the safe zone. The counselor wanted to ask where the command post was, but the military had taken over and didn't give her any face. They asked her to undergo a medical examination first. Due to the large number of people being checked, they were placed in a rudimentary house. This was already the highest treatment, as others were forced to sleep on the floor outside. Soju asked them to go to Hyosan High School, where there are many students, but the military had already sent everyone out, and there were no extra personnel available. Meanwhile, GW woke up in the library. GW woke up in the library. GW surprisingly didn't die. When he got up, his movement attracted the attention of the zombies, but they didn't attack him. This situation was similar to what happened to Eunji before. According to Bayanchan's explanation, this was a perfect fusion of the virus with humans. They possessed both the abilities of zombies and the intelligence of humans. GW had become a peculiar semi-zombie, and nothing could stop him now. GW sole focus was to kill Chongsan and avenge his eye. He believed himself to be invincible, unaware that Eunji, who he bullied, had undergone a similar transformation. Chongsan is trapped in the music classroom with a pair of eyes staring at him from behind, and the owner of the eyes is Na Yun. Na Yun was saved by Sunhwa and hid in the music room, but Sunhwa, who came out with her, was nowhere to be found. In the radio studio, female student who lost her parents is ready to die, but she is stopped by everyone. Anzhou and female student sit in the recording studio and talk. The female student inadvertently turns on the microphone. which gives Namare inspiration. Namare quickly devised a plan to attract zombies using the left speaker to play music. They would then use the right staircase to meet up with Chongsan and head to the rooftop through the middle staircase. The helicopter's been in the air all this time. Going to the rooftop for help is the only way to survive. Before they set off, they broadcasted a message telling Chongsan to stay in place and not wander around. Unbeknownst to them, GWINAM also heard their message while searching for Chongsan.
시작됐습니다. 모두 눈을 감고 마음을 차분하게 합니다.
오케이. 일단 방송실.
Namare started playing the music, and the zombies rushed towards the sound. Countless zombies passed by GWINAM without attacking him. As they opened the door to the broadcasting room, they encountered a particular zombie who seemed immune to the music. They had no choice but to take risky actions. Dae-soo led the way, and the others followed. But in the middle of their escape, a classmate accidentally kicked a cup, attracting the zombies' attention, and they had to run away. GWINAM here arrived late and didn't see the students in the broadcasting room. Soo-hyuk, who was in charge of breaking the back, tripped over a zombie. Suddenly, GWINAM appeared and killed the zombie attacking Soo-hyuk. There used to be some camaraderie between GWINAM and Soo-hyuk. However, when GWINAM questioned Soo-hyuk about Chongsan's whereabouts and expressed his intention to kill him, Soo-hyuk refused to answer GWINAM's questions. Seeing Soo-hyuk protecting Chongsan, GWINAM no longer showed any mercy and immediately attacked Soo-hyuk with a knife. Soo-hyuk was no match for GWINAM, and it seemed like he was about to die. Suddenly, Namare appeared and saved Soo-hyuk's life. In the fight, Namare was bitten by GWINAM. Namare's sudden appearance upsets GWINAM very much. Just as GWINAM is about to lay his hands on Namare, Soo-hyuk comes barreling in and knocks GWINAM out of the window. After dealing with GWINAM, they immediately went to meet up with the main force. On the other side, the four-person group rushed to the training ground. Unfortunately, Junsong accidentally got injured, but luckily it was just a wound from a stick and not a zombie bite. Meanwhile, the main force arrived at the music classroom, where they had just reunited with Chongsan, only to discover that Soo-hyuk had gone missing again. In a hidden compartment of the music room, Na-yeon, who was rescued by Sunhwa, was hiding and too afraid to come out. Just as the main force was about to go out to look for Soo-hyuk, they saw Namare and Soo-hyuk running towards them, closely followed by a large group of zombies. They quickly retreated back into the music room, once again trapped by the encircling zombies. During their discussion, they noticed the wound on Namare caused by GWINAM's bite. On the other side, Soju's father couldn't wait passively and wanted to go to the school to save his daughter, but the counselor can't help, and the Special Operations Division, which is responsible for maintaining order, can't do anything about it. If we follow normal procedures, have to quarantine them for at least a month before they can be released. Soju couldn't wait that long, so he had to go through an irregular procedure. Soju puts down a Special Warfare Division man and asks the MP to help with the aftermath. A father's request to his mother. Soju and his teammate change into their Special Forces uniforms and walk outside to find no one in school uniform, which means that the people in the school haven't been rescued yet. Soju's heart was heavy. Inside the school, everyone looked fearfully at Namare, who had been bitten. Soo-hyuk quickly explained that it was not a zombie bite but GWINAM's bite. If Chongsan wasn't there, everyone might have let it go, but Chongsan witnessed GWINAM being bitten by a zombie. Soo-hyuk doesn't believe Chongsan because he just talked to GWINAM and fought with him. How can it be a zombie? Namare is very calm and decisive. Since GWINAM has been bitten by a zombie, there is a real risk of him becoming a zombie. She decided to leave. but Suhayak stopped her. Namare had saved Suhayak's life, and he was not the type to forget gratitude. Namare and Suhayak come to the window, and if Namare turns into a zombie he will push Namare down himself. However, Chongsan was unwilling to compromise. After all, he witnessed GWI being bitten by a zombie. A conflict erupted between Suhayak and Chongsan, and Namare immediately stepped in to stop them. Namare sat on the windowsill and said to everyone that if she mutated into a zombie, she would jump immediately. The key point of the problem lies with GWI. The zombies they encountered before had no rationality and only attacked on instinct. Who would have thought that GWI had become a special being, half human and half zombie? As time passes, Namare begins to mutate. She stares aside at Suhayak with a sudden and intense hunger that she simply can't control. Chongsan senses something is wrong and immediately attacks Namare, but is blocked by Suhayak. On the other side, GWI, who had fallen from upstairs, regained consciousness. The conflict in the music room escalated, with Chongsan determined to kill Namare, while Suhayak was trying to defend her. At a critical moment, Anjo stepped in to stop Chongsan. Anjo pointed out that there was no blood on Namare's mouth, proving that she hadn't bitten Suhayak. Chongsan finally calmed down and decided to observe further. Namare admitted she wasn't normal and indeed had an intense desire to bite Suhayak, which she could barely control. Namare didn't want to trouble everyone and decided to leave. Anjo stops Namare. She analyses that Namare was bitten by GWI, so the key point of the problem is GWI, but Chongsan saw GWI being bitten by a zombie, but he didn't see GWI mutate. Suhayak did talk and fight with GWI. Namare doesn't want to dwell on this issue. The solution is simple. She just leaves. But Anjo doesn't want to lose a friend just like that. At this point Suhayak picks up a strip of cloth from the ground and ties Namare to him, so that he's the only one who gets hurt if Namare mutates. At Suhayak and Anjo's insistence, everyone finally agrees. Meanwhile, in the city center, Jaek and Hochul were preparing to set out. They found a small motorcycle near the entrance and planned to use it as transportation. Jaek also brought the baby with them. However, just as they started the motorcycle, a child ran towards them, and Jaek had to carry the child into fried chicken shop to hide. Their plan was once again disrupted. The conflict in the music room temporarily ceased, but a new problem troubled everyone. It had been 2 days without food or water, and they were all on the brink of death. Little did they know that food and water were in the room where Na-yeon was hiding. Na-yeon was about to come out when he heard them badmouthing her. Hardly anyone outside likes him. She silently locked the door from the inside. Dae-soo noticed the small compartment, but Na-yeon had already locked the door. Dae-soo desperately banged on the door, causing excitement among the zombies outside due to the noise. He had no choice but to give up. The girl who lost her parents picks up the VCR on the floor and records her last words. The girl's parents died in front of the school, but the police and firefighters didn't show up, and she hopes that the people involved will be severely punished. Other students also started recording videos one after another. On the other side, Soju decided to rescue his daughter. His teammates helped Soju climb the fence, but Soju didn't give him a rope. Soju knew that he might not be able to return and he didn't want to involve his teammates. However, as he descended from the wall, he was spotted by the guards at the entrance. With no other choice, Soju resorted to violence. The sound of gunshots immediately drew attention from others. Soju desperately ran, evading the hail of bullets. He reached a small lake and jumped in without hesitation, but unfortunately, he got shot. With an injured body, a long journey ahead, and countless zombies around, can Soju hold on? On the other side, Eun-ji, who had become a half-human, half-zombie, suddenly felt extremely hungry. She grabbed a fish from the fish tank and stuffed it into her mouth, but it didn't satisfy the intense hunger. The man beside her knew that Eun-ji had been bitten by the zombie, so he picked up a kettle and threw it at her. But Eun-ji is unharmed and picks up the fish on the ground and continues to eat it raw. The man freaked out and told Eun-ji to get out, and the next second the man was disemboweled. All of this was heard by Namare. After being bitten, Namare didn't mutate, but she did have a strong desire to bite Suhayak at the time. However, Suhayak's voice awakened her. This is the first time Suhayak calls Namare by her name, and Namare is very happy and gives Suhayak a sweet kiss. Now, Namare, being a half-zombie, is extremely sensitive to sounds and can hear things that others cannot. They need to find a way to escape, and music is still their best option since zombies are highly sensitive to sound. Luckily, they are in the music room. Anjo suggested erecting a roadblock in the middle of the classroom and using music to lure the zombies. When the zombies gather, they can escape through the back door. The crowd divides up the work, as manpower was needed to help Anjo untie Namare and Suhayak. Anjo believed that Namare wouldn't harm them. After that, they nervously arranged the classroom, putting everything that could be used as a barricade together. However, they were all at the back, and no one was there to open the door for the zombies. Chongsan volunteered to do it, and Suhayak jumps out of the barricade without thinking about it. Wanting to go with Chongsan, Suhayak tells Chongsan GWINAM is dead and won't bother him again. Suhayak pushes Chongsan into the barricade. After setting everything up, Suhayak opened the door abruptly and quickly jumped behind the roadblock. The music wasn't loud enough, so Daesu played to his strengths and started hissing loudly. Others used musical instruments to hit the roadblock with all their strength. The zombies are getting bigger and bigger, and the zombies in the corridor keep coming. They can only hold on. Just when they can't hold on any longer, when the zombies finally finish gathering in the building, they quickly escape through the back door. Daesu and Chongsan stayed behind to hold off the zombies. At the critical moment, Chongsan grabs Daesu and runs away, and the barricade behind them is instantly broken by the zombies. Fortunately, everyone managed to escape successfully. On the other side, GWINAM continued to search for Chongsan. On his way, he encountered his former boss, Myung-hwan. They were both startled upon seeing each other. Myung-hwan calls GWINAM to hide under the car, but he doesn't do it out of kindness. He wants GWINAM to attract the zombies. However, Myung-hwan didn't know that GWINAM was immune to the zombies. GWINAM pretended to comply, but as soon as he stepped out, he dragged Myung-hwan out as well. GWINAM breaks Myung-hwan's bones, and Myung-hwan is instantly overwhelmed by zombies. GWINAM heard some commotion from the music room and quickly rushed there, seeking revenge. Chongsan's group arrives at the top floor, but the door is locked. Chulsu on the rooftop is terrified when he hears a knock on the door, and even though he hears someone shouting, he doesn't choose to open the door. Inside the door, the zombies are already chasing after him. The people are desperately fighting with the zombies. Anjo puts the tent cloth on top of the zombies' heads to stop them from advancing. By this time the helicopter had arrived on the roof and the SWAT team took Chulsu's temperature and asked if there was anyone else. Chulsu replies that he's the only one left. After hearing this, the SWAT team took Chulsu to the helicopter and whizzed away. At this point, the people in the building could no longer care less about knocking on the door, because GWINAM appeared and his target was Chongsan. Just as GWINAM grabbed Chongsan, Namare made his move. Namare threw GWINAM downstairs.
너 왜 안 죽었어?
The door is finally opened by Anjo. They reached the top floor, but the helicopter had already taken off and they couldn't hear their cries for help. The last straw has passed them by. They escaped to the top floor, but the danger wasn't far away. GWINAM was right behind them. As the door to the top floor is unusually strong, GWINAM is unable to open it, so he has to find another way out. On the other hand, the bullied Eunji walks among the zombies and meets her classmates who had bullied her and have now turned into zombies, including the teacher, who she disemboweled. Eunji once reacted to a teacher that she was being bullied by her classmates, but the teacher thought it was her own fault. Thinking about this, Eunji turned around and ran back to the school building to find alcohol and a lighter. Eun-ji had become disillusioned with this school. Before the virus broke out, Eun-ji said she wanted to burn the school down. And now she has. Looking at the fire in front of her, Eun-ji didn't hesitate to leave. Eun-ji walks out of the school and rides her bike into the distance. On the rooftop, Chonsan wonders why GW Ainam is here when he's already dead. Soo-hyuk guesses that GW Ainam can come back from the dead just like the Eun-ji they saw in the faculty office, and of course Namare. Chongsan is very worried about their current situation, but Soo-hyuk says Namare will never hurt them. They then used items on the roof to put up a distress signal in the hope of being rescued. As night is approaching, they want to make a fire to keep warm, so they use the principle of drilling wood to make fire. But after a few rounds, they never saw a spark. Then Namare took out a lighter from his pocket. The crowd was dumbfounded. Namare doesn't want Soo-hyuk to know that she smokes, but it's not the time to worry about that anymore. On the other hand, in the archery hall, they made a stretcher for Junsong because he was injured and tried to carry him out, but Junsong was too heavy. A horde of zombies are running towards them, so they have no choice but to go back to the room. Junsong feels that he is dragging his teammates down and asks them to go first, but they've been through life and death together. They won't leave Junsong behind. Now they have to make a new sturdy stretcher. When the stretcher is ready, Mi-jin hears the sound of a helicopter on the roof and suggests that they go to the roof for help. After all, there's a better chance of being rescued up there, but the stairs outside can't take Junsong away, and there are still zombies around, so they have to give up on that idea for now. Soju over there was shot in the water and didn't die. Soju comes to the police station to clean up his wound, but he encounters a horde of zombies. Soju barged into the weapons room, took out a gun and loaded it with bullets, then fought his way out of the zombie horde. Soju did not go straight to his daughter's school but searched all the nearby schools to see if there were any survivors. After checking the map, Soju set off again with a gun in his backpack. On the other side, the fried chicken restaurant. Jaek and Hochul were preparing to leave the fried chicken restaurant. They wrapped themselves in cardboard to prevent getting bitten by zombies. Once everything was ready, Jaek hopped on a small motorcycle, carrying Hochul and two children. Hochul wielded a wooden stick to clear the zombies chasing after them. No matter where they rode, zombies were everywhere. The city had been completely infected, leaving them with no way out. Fortunately, Jaek had a clever idea and turned into a narrow alley. The zombies swarmed into the alley but got trapped, allowing them to finally escape. Just as they felt relieved, they suddenly heard cries for help. A man with a leg injury was trapped on the rooftop. Hochul told Jaek to drive away, but Jaek stopped and handed the baby in his arms to Hochul. Jaek asked Hochul to wait for them below and went to rescue the injured man. Zombies were chasing after him from behind, and Hochul rode the motorcycle to escape, leaving Jaek behind. At this moment, Jaek could only focus on saving the man. He bandaged the man's injured leg. Meanwhile, a large group of zombies had gathered downstairs. They needed to find a way to distract the zombies to leave the rooftop. As Jaek tried to lure the zombies away, a bus approached from a distance. To his surprise, the driver was Hochul. He didn't abandon Jaek but had found another mode of transportation. In an instant, the car has been surrounded by zombies, and Jaek and the injured man jump onto the roof of the car. Hochul drove the bus swiftly, escaping the clutches of the zombies. But unexpectedly, they hit a person on the way. To check if the person was infected, Jaek decided to get off the bus and investigate, and it was Eun-ji who was hit by the car. As Jaek was about to take Eun-ji away, a barrage of bullets was fired towards them. It was the military personnel arriving on the scene. Jaek quickly identified himself to the military, not knowing that there was a half-human, half-zombie in their midst. Hochul thought they were finally saved. The military had another infected person, and they intended to use it for vaccine research. The commander ordered the soldier to contact the parents of the infected person to get their consent. Meanwhile, a soldier reported that a congressman was waiting for inspection, and she was under the command of the Ministry of National Defense. Reluctantly, the commander went to meet the congressman and firmly advised them to follow the restrictions. The congressman has only one request: to send a plane to Hyosan High School to save the children. Though the commander didn't give a direct answer, he had already taken the matter to heart. There are no helicopters available at the moment because they're all engaged in combat operations. The commander decided to use his special aircraft to inspect the schools in Shaoshan City. The soldier asked if he wanted to visit the Xiaodong because the commander's mother was there, but the commander said he would wait until it was classified as a rescue zone. At the school, Na Yun, who was hiding in the music room, comes out and picks up the video camera on the floor and watches the video recorded by her classmates. Na-yeon suddenly got up and picked up a bag and started to fill it with food. When Na-yeon heard Jae-su's name on the video camera, she froze with tears in her eyes. Na-yeon turned around and had a hallucination that Jae-su was beside her. Remembering her classmates' accusations, she burst into tears. After Na-yeon walked out of the classroom, she was almost chased by Jae-su, who turned into a zombie. At a critical moment, Sunhwa appeared just in time and saved Na-yeon, but Sunhwa accidentally got bitten by a zombie. To ensure Na-yeon's safety, Sunhwa locked her inside the music classroom while she stayed outside. The zombies around Sunhwa are all Jae-su and Na-yeon's eyes. Although Na-yeon felt guilty about intentionally hurting Jae-su, her prideful nature prevented her from admitting it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have chosen to leave at that time. Sunhwa understands Na-yeon very well and knows that she hurt Jae-su out of fear. Sunhwa wants Na-yeon to survive, help her classmates, and fit in with the group. With these thoughts, Na-yeon picked up the food from the floor and walked out of the classroom. This time, she decided to stand up and help her classmates. However, Na-yeon unexpectedly encountered GW-inam outside the classroom. Unaware that GW-inam had turned into a zombie, Na-yeon has no defense against GW-inam and is bitten by GW-inam in the next second. Meanwhile, on the rooftop, the group of survivors gathered around a bonfire for a heart-to-heart conversation. The reserved Chonsan confessed his feelings to Anjo. Anjo couldn't accept it immediately and wanted some time alone to think, so she chose to sit in a corner. Unbeknownst to them, GW-inam had found a way to get upstairs and was gradually approaching them. Anjo looks at Chonsan's back in the distance and doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, a noise caught Anjo's attention, and she looked up to see GW-inam climbing onto the rooftop. GW-inam climbed to the top of the building and ran straight to Chonsan. GW-inam pushed Chonsan to the ground and GW-inam tried to blind Chonsan with his fingers. Chonsan cried out in pain. Suhyak comes to his aid, and Suhyak and GW-inam fight together. But GW-inam, who is a half-zombie, is not that easy to deal with. Suhyak is knocked down in a couple of blows. Then, Namare suddenly transformed and engaged in a fierce fight with GW-inam. But Namare, being a woman, was no match for GW-inam and was knocked down by GW-inam. Suhyak sees this and goes to help Namare, but he is overpowered by GW-inam. Namare saw the right moment to push Suhyak off the rooftop. Meanwhile, the research facility was accelerating its efforts to identify the virus's type and source. Only then could they develop an antidote, but so far, they had no results. Even more strangely, every time they conducted tests, the virus structure changed, as if it were evolving. At this time, a soldier reported to the commander that a rescued policeman had some understanding of the virus. Earlier, Bayan-chan had told Jaek about a computer in his laboratory that contained methods to resist the virus. The commander sends a team to Hyosan High School immediately after receiving the information. In the school, people are sitting around and talking. A helicopter is flying in the distance and they try to attract the rescue team's attention with a fire. The rescue team landed on the rooftop to check the situation and ordered them all to lie down on the ground to check everyone's status. The body temperatures of the students were normal, but when it was Namare's turn, her temperature showed 34 degrees. The rescue team assumed it was just hypothermia and didn't suspect anything. After confirming their safety, the rescue team told the survivors to stay on the rooftop and took them away after the mission. Meanwhile, the 4 individuals hiding in the training ground also decided to take a chance and head to the top floor for a glimmer of hope. Only heard a bang. The rescue team broke the window and swept the zombies in front of them. Upon hearing the gunfire, other zombies rushed towards the sound, but it didn't hinder the rescue team's actions at all. the army killed and successfully came to the science room to decode the files in the computer, and after the successful copying of the files, the rescue team withdrew in the same way and transferred the trapped students. At this moment, an unexpected incident occurred in the protection center. The infected Eun-ji meets Chul-soo and attacks him as she hates the man who used to bully her. In the end, it took 5 special forces to subdue Eun-ji. According to experts' judgment, Eun-ji was an asymptomatic carrier of the virus, which meant some infected individuals couldn't be distinguished from normal people, so the commander ordered to abandon the rescue of the survivors to ensure the safety of the people concerned. Upon receiving the order, the rescue team had to put the students who had just boarded the plane back on the ground. It was their closest opportunity to hope, yet they were mercilessly abandoned. The commander even ordered all of them to be killed. It's better to kill 1,000 than to spare one, but the lead soldier went soft and didn't carry out the order. The students watched the search and rescue team leave, but there was nothing they could do. At that moment, they truly experienced what it meant to be abandoned by the whole world. Soju escapes from the sanctuary and rushes to the school without stopping to save his daughter. On the way, Soju meets a man whose wife is pregnant and trapped in a car. The woman can't hold on much longer, but Soju can't get away. Soju gives the man food and a shotgun and tells him that a search and rescue team will be there soon, and he hopes he can hold on a little longer. After saying this, Soju was about to leave, but to his surprise, the man pointed the gun at him, forcing Soju to save his wife. But even then Soju didn't stop. In the end, the man didn't shoot. After several tests, it was discovered that the virus in Eun-ji's body appeared intermittently, indicating an evolutionary result. In other words, the virus could be detected when symptoms were visible, but at other times, Eun-ji was indistinguishable from a normal person, and even testing would not reveal whether she was infected. The Disease Control Center concluded that asymptomatic individuals should also be considered as infected. After careful consideration, the commander issued an order to classify all residents in the shelter as asymptomatic carriers and subject them to close monitoring. On the other side, Namare, who was infected, became extremely sensitive to sounds, especially the piercing sound of thunder. Suhyok pulls off the corner of his shirt and uses it as an earplug to help Namare relieve her pain. The thunder was followed by pouring rain, which was undoubtedly life-saving manna for them, who had not had a drink of water for a long time, and the rain has given them renewed hope, and they decide to escape from this hellhole. Out the back door of the auditorium were the tennis courts and then across the back of the hill of the living hall. On the other side of the hill was Dongyang City, where they believed they would be safe. Encouraged by Chongsan, the group decided to take a daring chance. They split into pairs to ensure no one would be left behind. Because of the rain, the infected's sense of smell and hearing are slowed down. The group of 4 senses something unusual and decides to head for the back of the mountain and escape to Dongyang City. On the Chongsan side, they proceeded cautiously, afraid of alerting the zombies outside. However, on their way, they unexpectedly encountered Chongsan's mother. When Chongsan's mother saw Chongsan, she opened her bloody mouth and jumped at him. Chongsan was devastated witnessing this. In order to ensure the safety of the group, the students could only take action against Chongsan's mother. The noise they made instantly attracted the zombies around them, and they could only evacuate first. Chongsan looked at his mother in front of him and refused to leave. In the end, the crowd could only force him to pull him away. Simultaneously, the other group of 4 arrived at the scene. On Chongsan's side, as they were running, Hyoryun tripped and fell. Jimin wanted to help her, but the approaching zombies from behind made her abandon the idea. Hyoryun thought she was going to die for sure, but at the crucial moment, Hari's brother suddenly appeared and saved her life. Hari then skillfully took down the zombies around them with precise shots. At this moment, Jimin, who has escaped from the group, is surrounded by an army of zombies. Chongsan and the others make their way through the woods to the tennis court. Namare realizes something is wrong as soon as they enter and stops to warn them to run away. A bolt of lightning struck, and the crowd saw that a large wave of zombies had gathered at the tennis court, and they hurriedly fled in panic at the sight. At this critical moment, Mi-jin doesn't give up on the injured Junsong and tries to drag him away with her. At this moment, Junsong suddenly jumps off the trolley and fights off the zombies with all his strength to buy them time to escape. Junsong sacrificed his life for the safety of his companions. They managed to escape into the storage room of the tennis court. However, Min-jae got left behind and had to escape the swarm of zombies on his own. Similarly, Jimin, who had been separated from the main group, unfortunately got attacked by zombies and turned into one of them.
바이러스는 일정한 패턴이 있을 때 백신을 만들 수 있다.
Bayan-chan's research on the virus revealed that it was constantly changing and evolving, making it impossible to develop a cure. The only solution was to burn the host completely, leaving no trace of the virus. They were investigating Bayan-chan's research records to understand more. Meanwhile, the military learned that the infection had spread to Dongyang City and was considering expanding the quarantine area, which included the place where the students were heading, implying that they were planning to abandon Shaoshan City. After a night, the zombie horde showed no signs of dispersing. Namare could smell the foul stench even through the door. Now that they're trapped here, Daesu takes this opportunity to confess to Hari. Hari is very calm after hearing this. Not only does he not feel moved, but Hari even kicks and punches Daesu. The whole storeroom is filled with the sound of their fights. Seeing a volleyball that fell on the ground, Suhayak came up with a plan. He suggested forming a circle with the carts and all of them huddling inside to defend against the approaching zombies. Everyone agreed to the plan and began to work on it. On the other hand, the researcher followed Bayan-chan's method and developed a virus that was 98% similar to the infected sample. In other words, Bayan-chan's experiments are true. If a person is infected, his heart will stop beating. Only this virus survives in the body and stimulates the infected's physical activity. The infected person they're seeing now is actually a living dead person, but the mutation of the asymptomatic infected person can't be explained yet. Maybe the only solution is to destroy the host. As Bayan-chan said, while they were making the preparations, soldiers reported that the infection had spread to Dongyang City, and the military had ordered a lockdown and dispatched troops to suppress the outbreak. On the tennis court, while making props, they found a bag of chocolates. It's past its expiration date, but it's a lifesaver for them. To make sure that everyone can eat it, they pass it around, each taking a small bite. Some had just eaten a short time before and gave the opportunity to others. With everything ready, they rush out of the gate together. Suhayak leads the way, with Hari assisting. After taking out the zombies around them, they quickly form a circle and push the trolley forward. When the zombies hear the noise, they all rush towards them, making it impossible for them to move forward. Faced with the swarming zombies, they had no choice but to deal with them first. During the fight, Mi-jin got accidentally pinned down by a zombie. When Junyang sees this, he tries to save her, but he gets bitten by the vampire. Junyang looks at his bitten arm for a moment and then jumps out of the safe zone to help them clear the roadblock. And Junyang is surrounded by zombies as a result. On the other hand, experts analyze that if just one infected person breaks through the defense line, the whole of Seoul will fall in less than a week. So they have to take action as soon as possible. So the commander instructed the tactical team to prepare a battle plan to drop missiles on Shaoshan. The commander doesn't want to do it, but if he doesn't, he'll lose the whole country.
BBC 지나가고 있습니다.
On the school side, with the help of Junyang's sacrifice, they managed to get to the exit, but the gate was locked and they couldn't open it no matter how hard they knocked. If they don't get out soon, they'll be dead. Just then, Soju successfully arrived at the school through a back path. Just as Anjo keeps banging on the door trying to get out in any way he can, the door suddenly opens and the visitor is none other than Soju. The moment she sees her father, Anjo immediately throws herself into his arms. Soju's heart hangs in the air and finally drops. At this moment, not only is Soju searching for them, but there is also GW Nam, who seems to never die. Soju immediately led them towards the stadium, but a large group of zombies chased after them relentlessly. Upon entering the tennis court, they found themselves surrounded by zombies. The tennis court was quickly overrun by the undead. Soju ignited the prepared fireworks to create a diversion, allowing them to escape. But the fireworks soon burned out. In a critical moment, Soju instructed Chongsan to take on Joe and escape while he used a whistle to attract the zombies' attention, allowing the students to flee quickly. Soju locks himself in the tennis court as he has been bitten by the zombies, and all he has to do is to find a way for his daughter to survive. As the zombies swarmed him, Soju's last words were urging his daughter to run. Anjo and the others managed to escape to a building under construction. On the way, Namare suddenly stopped them and quickly led them to the second floor, warning that the workers inside had all mutated.
위로 가! 위로!
Namrara led them to hide on the balcony outside the house by his mutated abilities. The zombies are rampant inside the house and the group outside dare not make any noise. Anjo was saddened by her father's infection, and Chongsan takes her in his arms to comfort her. Infection with the zombie virus seems to be worse than death itself, because the virus turns man into a monster, a bloodthirsty, horrible demon. Meanwhile, GWINAM located the sports arena following the sound. However, the students had already left, leaving only Min Jae behind. The kind-hearted Min Jae doesn't know that GWINAM is a zombie, and warns GWINAM of the dangers outside when he's about to leave. GWINAM suddenly caught the scent of Chongsan on Min Jae and questioned him about it. To protect his classmates, Min Jae refused to reveal Chongsan's whereabouts. Angering GWINAM, GWINAM attacked Min Jae and continued to interrogate him about Chongsan's location. Min Jae claimed he was with his classmates and didn't know anyone named Chongsan. He seized the opportunity to stab GWINAM in the neck with a sword. To his surprise, GWINAM remained unharmed. Min Jae runs towards the bow and arrow, but he only shoots one arrow and can't shoot anymore because he's already started to mutate. GWINAM comes out of the gym and sees the zombies running towards the back of the mountain as if he understands something. At the same time, the military began testing the zombies' tolerance to sound, since they become highly sensitive to sound after turning into zombies. Loud noises could control them to some extent. They found that the zombies had the greatest response to 20 kHz sound waves. The commander decided to install sound wave emitters on drones to attract the zombies. When the zombies gathered at the target locations, they would launch missiles. There were 4 target points, including Hyosan High School. There are 170,000 people in Shaoshan City. 110,000 have been excluded. 50,000 zombie casualties and 10,000 uninfected or asymptomatic casualties are expected. The commander ordered continuous evacuation broadcasts before launching the missiles. Namare had been hearing a voice in her head, urging her to bite her companions' necks. Not wanting to harm Suhayak, she resorted to biting herself instead. Suhayak looks at the wound on Namare's hand and tells her to bite him next time she has an attack. But Namare can't do it. The crowd was now trapped on the balcony with no chance of escape, but they didn't give up. At this moment, Namare suddenly hears a sound. It's a military broadcast for evacuation. The military warns the infected to leave the designated area to avoid being bombed. The news is a terrible blow to Chongsan's group. The military won't give up bombing just because of a few of them. The drones are already in action, and the zombies start following them. Leading the zombies to the designated area. Before they can think of a way to deal with the bombing, GWINAM finds them. GWINAM stomped on Chongsan and even Suhayak almost fell off when GWINAM punched him. Luckily, his classmates pulled Suhayak up, but Chongsan wasn't so lucky. He was tortured by GWINAM and even got bitten. When the drone reaches the airspace, GWINAM's hearing is suddenly impaired, and Chongsan drops GWINAM with a collision. The drones reach the designated area, and the commander orders the launch of missiles. Chongsan, knowing he will mutate because of the bite, decides to go out and lure the zombies away so his friends can escape. After Chong-san and Anjo kissed goodbye, he wasted no time jumping into the building, screaming about the zombies that attracted. Due to the building not being fully constructed, Chong-san stands on the other side and shouts loudly, "The zombies!" Attracted by the sound, all fall down from the building. The companions took this opportunity to escape. The undefeatable GWI-nam finds Chong-san again, and the two of them are fighting instantly. But Chong-san is no match for GWI-nam, and GWI-nam beats him up. In order to avenge one glance, GWI-nam pressed Chong-san and snapped his eyeballs. At that moment, a missile came up quickly towards them, and the zombies that had already gathered in the playground were instantly blown to ashes. At the last moment, Chong-san hugged GWI-nam and disappeared into the fire together. By this time, his companions have already escaped successfully. After the successful launch of several missiles, the commander could not get back to his senses. After all, that was tens of thousands of lives. After a long time, the commander handed over the command to his men and told them to prepare for tomorrow's search. Then he said he was tired and had to go to bed. The commander walked out of the war room and came to the counselor, hoping that the counselor would convey his apologies to the citizens of Hyosan. After completing all of these actions, the commander returned to his room, put on his military uniform, and made a phone call to his wife. Subsequently, he took his own life by shooting himself with a firearm. After all, so many lives had perished under his command, and he felt that he could only appease the spirits of the people of Shaoshan City by sacrificing his own life. At the moment of the commander's death, all the zombies in Shaoshan City were suddenly eradicated. The city becomes eerily quiet, filled with a heavy atmosphere. Jaek ponders the idea that for the majority to survive, is it acceptable to resort to extreme cruelty? Unfortunately, no one can answer this question. The survivors of the school looked at the fire behind them and couldn't find peace in their hearts. After all, their lives were bought with the lives of their friends. They could walk away now, but they can't, because there is still a glimmer of hope in their hearts that there is a miracle, that Chong-san is still alive. But hope is just hope. Back in the building, Namare couldn't smell anything human, and all they could do was say goodbye. The group set off again and moved on, but it wasn't long before they realized they were lost. A yellow strip of cloth on a nearby branch seemed to be pointing them in the right direction. They follow the direction of the cloth. Soon, Anjo noticed a flashlight with her father's name on it. It became evident that these cloth strips were intentionally left behind by her father for her. They soon arrived in Donyang City, but the atmosphere here wasn't too good either. It was a bit scary quiet. Suddenly, Namare stopped in her tracks and saw a large group of zombies rushing towards them. They ran for their lives. The boy in the back falls, which makes them change their minds. They decided that running away wouldn't solve the problem and opted to confront the zombies head-on. They grabbed their weapons and got ready to fight. After a short period of calm, a large wave of zombies appeared and they immediately went into battle. The fight was extremely challenging. Hari's brother is torn by the zombies to protect Hari. Seeing that his mutated brother Hari can't do anything, Namare doesn't hesitate to finish him off. Now was not the time to grieve. There were still many zombies on the road. Hari was ready to fight the zombies to the end, but Namare tells Hari not to make a fearless sacrifice. Looking at Hari's bleeding place, the desire to eat blood erupts inside Namare, who hurriedly looks away and tries to restrain himself. As they set off again, Namare deliberately walked at the end of the line. The urge to bite was too much to contain, and Namare wanted to eat her friend in front of her. Namare tried to restrain himself and bit himself, but the hunger was still there. Soon Suhayak realizes that Namare has fallen behind and Anjo goes back with him to look for him. They are shocked to see Namare eating a zombie corpse. Anjo tries to calm down and calls Namare to come with him. Namare suddenly runs towards Anjo and pushes her down on the ground as if he's going to eat her. Suhayak was unsure of what to do. He didn't want to see his friend die, nor did he want to harm Namare. Anjo gives up her resistance and tries to let Namare release her, but Namare stops at this moment. Her remaining sanity tells her that the person in front of her is a friend. Namare knows she can't stay with her friend anymore and runs away crying. Anjo and Suhayak immediately go after her, but Namare has already disappeared. Anjo and Suhayak followed the brigade onwards and soon reached the control area. Thinking back on all the bits and pieces along the way, and all the friends lost, not one of them smiles. Since they came from the same place as Byanchan, the military asked them to assist in the investigation and conduct interrogations. Anjo's words best represented their feelings at the moment. "We won't make any requests of you, and you don't have to ask us to help with the investigation." Following that was a period of calm isolation. Unable to stop thinking about his friend, Anjo climbed over the fence every night to see if there was a miracle. That night, a miracle did occur. Anjo saw a fire on the roof of the school. After dawn, Anjo told Suhayak about it. Namare had said that if they were to meet again, they must relight the bonfire. Anjo suspects that Namare lit the fire, so she decides to check it out tonight. Suhayak really wants to go too, but Suhayak apologizes to Anjo first. After all, he didn't do anything when Namare jumped on Anjo. Anjo didn't blame Suhayak, knowing that she would have made the same choice in his position. Before leaving, Anjo asks Suhayak not to tell anyone about the bonfire because it's dangerous. As night fell, Anjo came to the fence and froze. Everyone was there and no one was missing. They climbed over the fence and saw that there was a fire in the direction of the school. They set off immediately. When they passed the place where Chongsan died, Anjo was sad. Back at the school they hadn't seen for a long time. The place was in ruins. They went all the way to the rooftop. There was a fire, but no one was there. Who could have lit it? Then a figure appears, and it's really Namare. Anjo wants to take Namare away, but she can't. There are other students like her. A few ran outside the school and a few stayed. Namare isn't human and can't go back with Anjo and the others, but she's not a monster either. Despite the distance, they were still good friends. Namare suddenly looked into the distance and said, "They're coming," and jumped off the rooftop. Everyone looked in the direction where Namare disappeared and recalled her words. That's right. Although a lot of things have changed, one thing remains the same. They'll always be good friends. This is the end of the full story of Zombie Campus. Thank you very much for watching. We're looking forward to the second season.